Candice Parker is running away from the smoke, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest. Earlier today, SNY posted an article by Philip Martinez. Candice Parker clears air following Jalen Brunson criticism. So, earlier in the year, Candice Parker had some choice words for Jalen Brunson, basically talking about his play last season in the playoffs. Had a lot of Knicks fans pretty upset. And now there's this article basically clearing the air. Candace Parker is doing a lot of scaling it back and trying to make up excuses as to what she was saying. She was basically saying that she didn't know necessarily the role that Jalen Brunson had on the team and how much of an impact that he could have. But if we take a look into the article, what I was alluding to was the fact that in the first round of the playoffs, he was the best player on the court against Donovan Mitchell. And the second round, especially on the defensive end, Miami picked on him a great deal, and Jimmy Butler was, in fact, the best player on the court. She then goes on to say that if Jalen Brunson is your number one option, you're going to have a hard time going deep into the playoffs. And she uses the loss against Miami last season as a perfect example. Julius Randle, again, had ankle injuries. Us Knicks fans, we didn't know the severity of it. We didn't know until in the offseason we heard a report that Julius Randle was having ankle surgery. So with Julius Randle not being healthy, Jalen Brunson was your number one option, and unfortunately it led to the Knicks losing in 6. But in game 6, Jalen Brunson dropped a 30 ball on the Miami Heat. She then continues to do a cleanup job. It was no slight on Jalen Brunson. I think he makes everybody better around him. I think he makes winning plays. My point was, who are the Knicks going to go after to put next to Jalen Brunson to be that guy and to be that number one guy in those moments? Personally, Candice Parker's comments talking about Jalen Brunson last season in the playoffs, I mean, she's just giving her professional opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it's kind of off when you see the numbers that Brunson had in the playoffs last season. The first round against the Cavs, he was averaging 24 points, 4.8 assists against the Cavs. And in the second round, he was averaging 31 points and 6.3 assists. I actually wanted to dive into the numbers of all the games last season in the playoffs. So check it out. The first game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, he had 27. The following game, 20, and then 21, and then 29, and then 23. That was for the first 5 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now let's go to the second round against the Miami Heat. First game, he dropped 25. Then a 30, then a 20, then a 32, a 38, and a 41. The 41, of course, as we know, was unfortunately in a loss, and the Miami Heat clinched that series in Game 6, which in my opinion, I still think that we should have won that series, even though Julius Randle was not healthy with a messed up ankle. Jimmy Butler also had a messed up ankle. He tweaked his ankle in the first game pretty bad, if I remember correctly. Tyler Hero was out, I still not sure why we lost that series exactly. Maybe Coach Tibbs might want to remind me. Just saying. But Jimmy Butler, he didn't go all Superman like he did in the first round against the Milwaukee Bucks. And like I just said, he was injured. So we should have had a better collective outing, not just depending on Jalen Brunson. But then we got to have the conversation regarding RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. And I don't want to go down that road because then people are going to talk about how they don't show up in the playoffs. And you know the rest of the story. So in those two categories, he upped his game. So with each round of the playoffs, with the intensity each round getting higher and higher, Jalen Brunson upped his level of play each round. And then Candace Parker saying that she doesn't know what type of player Jalen Brunson is and if he could lead our team to the promised land. It's just, I feel like there's a lot of evidence in front of her that really kind of it's just led to her having a foot in her mouth. And then Candice Parker, towards the end of the article, goes on to say about how Jalen Brunson and the Knicks still have to prove us wrong and if they can win with that style of play. There are many styles of basketball. When everyone was doubting whether you can be a three-point shooting team and win a championship, and now everyone does it. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe the Knicks have found that the style, and maybe there are other Jalen Brunsons out there. Teams will try to go after to be that team. But until it's done, I think there's going to be a lot of doubters. Listen, so this video is focused around Candice Parker and her comments, but what I do want to allude to is I feel like a lot of analysts, NBA, TNT, ESPN, I feel like they have the same sentiment as Candice Parker. They're not sure if Jalen Brunson being your best player can lead you to the promised land. Jalen Brunson, who's listed at 6'2", going up against the other point guards in the league. Just Eastern Conference alone, you got the up-and-coming Tyrese Maxey, you got Tyrese Halliburton, you got Damian Lillard from the Milwaukee Bucks, you got the tandem of Drew Holiday and Derek White. That's a lot, and that's only the East Coast. If we're talking about the West Coast, we're talking about De'Aaron Fox, we're talking about SGA, we're talking about Westbrook, we're talking about Luka, we're talking about Steph. Like, the point guard play in the league is at such an elite level that the concern for Brunson being the best player on your best team leading you to a championship, I wouldn't say it's fair, but it's definitely something that I think us as Knicks fans, we should take a look into. Candace Parker, a little bit of a foot in her mouth because everything she said, it was after the fact that Jalen Brunson proved to us that he can be the best player on this team, leading us to deep playoff runs. Listen, this is no slight to Candace Parker because Candace Parker is not just a WNBA legend, she's absolutely a hoops legend. 2 times WNBA MVP, 7-time WNBA All-Star, 3-time WNBA champ. She's a hoops legend. She's not just a women's basketball legend, but sometimes you're going to say some things that's going to upset some people and it's going to make some noise. And this is one of the times that we got to call you out. And of course, I'll always respect what Candace Parker has to say. And ever since she started doing the NBA Tuesday on TNT, when she started working alongside Adam Lefkoe, Jamal Crawford, Vince Carter, like, she's been having some really important and really good poignant points that I actually really listen to and I pay attention to. All of this noise that's just going on around people that have negative comments regarding Jalen Brunson or the New York Knicks in general, I feel like the noise around the Knicks, it's elevating. So it's always a positive. Whenever your teams are in the headlines, and if it's not for something super negative, you got to take it as a positive. What this means is just that the Knicks are gaining respect around the league. They're gaining respect around the media. And their name is just being elevated higher and higher up, where it's going to be part of the NBA zeitgeist. And we always got to remember, we got King Perk always repping the Knicks. Even though Stephen A is orange and blue skies, he's always super timid to just go off the rails and just claim the Knicks being an NBA champion this season. But we do have some people in our corner, like I just said, King Perk, Bill Simmons, Zach Lowe. So we do have some people in our corner. And as the season goes on, we'll probably get more media members joining the Knicks bandwagon. And the past 2 seasons, Jalen Brunson is the primary reason, completely changing the culture of the Knicks team and the Knicks organization. Now the Knicks fans were actually... Have you seen the Garden lately? Every time they play, it's a sold-out crowd. The team is super invested. Whenever Jalen Brunson hits a big shot or whenever he makes a good move, the crowd is going crazy. Like, Jalen Brunson himself has changed the complete culture of this organization, and I am so looking forward to the rest of Jalen Brunson Knicks tenure. Hopefully he stays with the Knicks for the remainder of his career, but only time will tell. But guys, that's it for today's video. I want to say thank you for checking it out. Leave it in the comments and let me know what you think about Candace Parker comments, and also as far as her running away from the smoke and trying to do a cleanup job. Leave it in the comments and let me know what you guys think. But until next time, you always know it's Taj Gibson for president, Jalen Brunson for MVP, and we out. Peace.